introduced this movie for us, and so basically our company, it's both here in the Philippines and in the U.S. Basically the company is registered in both places, and our really this was the idea today was just recommended to us by by Sister Goody from Radyo Palawan, and so we thought it would be great to just have you guys here. And now we have intentionally not get the word out because we are waiting for a trades announcement from Hollywood. Actually, so we have submitted a trades announcement, and so we're waiting for that. So that's the reason why you don't hear much, apart from some posting by our director and some posting by members of the team. So that's basically. So you guys getting the word out is actually the first that will kind of blow it out there. So I want to introduce our director, who is loving Palawan so far, right? Yeah. And this is his second time in Palawan, but he's not foreign to the Philippines. He's been here. This is his fifth time in the Philippines. And obviously, if you have done a little bit of googling, he is both. Actually, he's an actor, producer, and director. From Hollywood, and he just loves the Philippines. He loves being part of his heritage, and he brought his family with him, and he's gonna be here in Palawan for almost 2 months. So he is famous for several movies like Scorpion King 2, Power Rangers. And One Tree Hill, and many other movies that he has done. He was an actor there, and also but he actually is a part of a team, a producer team that won the Emmys. And you're probably familiar with the Emmys, and he won it 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2 years ago. And so, so that's our director, Michael, and I guess we'll make this more, spontaneous, which is basically that's who we are. The entire, so feel free to ask the questions, but I'll have him give a little bit of his thoughts on the project, on the production.
First of all, Salam, thank you for being here. I love the Philippines, and I've actually dedicated this second journey of my life and career to bridging the gap between Hollywood and the Philippines. Like I told my wife, I want to die and have the Filipinos know that I am a Filipino. I played Spanish most of my career, so if you watch me on these shows, I was always playing Spanish. But word got out, I think close 2004 or 5, it started getting out more that I was Filipino. Which put me on the IMDb top 50 Filipino celebrities, Blue Diamond being one. I'm number 14 on the list. Dante Bosco on there, 33 or 34. We've got an incredible group of American celebrities that have been meeting together. Since 2003, Bosco and I have been meeting with a group of Filipinos, all the top Filipino producers, actors, directors, singers. We would, with all one goal of bringing up the name of the Filipino in Hollywood. Which led me to meeting Bruno Mars, which brought me to the Philippines for my first time. So I performed at the Araneta Coliseum and Cebu. I was Bruno Mars' opening act on his Hooligan tour. So that was, I think, I want to say 2011 or 12. I couldn't remember exactly the year right now. But also that is the time I started producing. So I started producing around and directing movies around 2011. Hollywood took a big turn. 2008 crash. There was a 2-year writer's strike. You guys don't know this, but all the ethnic writers were kind of like kicked out of Hollywood and went back to Jewish Hollywood, which is why Gossip Girl, 90210, those shows were popular in America. And guys like me, we had very little opportunity. To give you perspective, I was having 130 auditions a year prior to 2008 and 9, and after that I only had 5 to 10 auditions a year that required an ethnic option. So the choices were very slim which is why I started thinking, writing, directing, and producing my own opportunities, which led me to doing my first project, Worth the Price, which is on Amazon Prime, which I not only wrote, directed, and produced, self-funded as well. And I like to brag about how cheap it was. I made it for $10,000.
Wow.
After investing over 100 grand worth in gear, my red cams, and everything like that, not counting the actual gear I bought, but it was a learning experience, and that's what I wanted to do. I said I wanted to learn how to make a movie from A to Z, because everyone in Hollywood says they're a producer, but they've never ever produced, or they're just bringing in an actor, so they're a producer. But I actually said, I want to make a movie, like building a boat or building a house from the ground up. And that's what I did. So, Worth the Price. I'll let out the juice now. All the people in the credits are everyone that is my family members. Some of them weren't even on set, but I just put them in the credits so it didn't look like Michael Kopan. But I did, I was the gaffer, the DP, the actor, the sound score, I did the Foley, I did the color correction. So if you see mistakes, it's because I was turning the camera, shooting, using a stand-in and getting in, telling my AD to call action, who was really my cousin. So the action and then I was going to the scene. So if you want to laugh or experience a movie, some people said they love it, some people have had comments, but nonetheless I made it for $10,000 and I'm proud of it. From there, I did Dystopia, which was a big, my second biggest feature after that. We had Michael Madsen, Al Sapienza, a couple other big actors in the project. And then Affairs of State with Adrian Grenier from Entourage. So that kind of broke me out into where Hollywood is my biggest financial budget that I produced. This is the biggest budget that I've directed. That's the biggest budget I produced, was $1.2 million. And had a great starting cast as well. From there I kept going, and now led me to meeting Francis. I know Guy connected our vision of both wanting to bridge the gap between Hollywood and the Philippines. He's a native. He's an incredible missionary that's traveled the world. And also he has a huge presence in the finance world, which God led him to producing movies next. That's what he knew God told him to do, which led us to meeting. And it just so happened that we had met in the same time when I was actually already telling my wife, I said, I really think that if we put more of our presence in the Philippines, we're going to find some connections there, which led to us meeting at the Filipino Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. He's the president of Hollywood. I'm the president of the Creative Council. And that led us to working together on this project. Even at that conference, we were speaking about how the Philippines needs something to stand for. I was, when I had my moment on stage, I was talking about this opportunity to do movies that like Braveheart, like action movies that empower us as men. Because I've never grown up watching movies where I can go, oh, Bruce Lee, I relate to Kung Fu, or a samurai, I relate to being Japanese. I didn't see any of that for me as a Filipino, other than Lou Diamond Phillips being in La Bamba. My dad said, you know, that guy's Filipino. And I was like, oh, really? You know, but we've never had a movie that says, wow, that was our heritage, and that's what we fought for. And through that, I know God had inspired this entire thing through our hearts, and it's been through his and on his own for years, and mine as well for years, which kind of combined the two. And that's the magical gift of God and spirituality. I believe that things synergetically come together for the right reason. And they say birds of a feather flock together, so we're here flocking. And, you know, my career as an actor, you know, I don't dismiss it. You know, I've had some fun projects. I've enjoyed my time in Hollywood. I left it very early on and moved back to Virginia Beach because I wanted a more simple life with my family. I now have my first baby who's 10 months. I'm happily married, and I've got an incredible lifestyle that I gave up Hollywood when everyone thought I was crazy. They're like, you're making, at the time I was making great money on Scorpion King and all these big movies, and I left it to go basically not make any money and make my own movies. But I just saw the bigger vision, guys. And that's what brought me here. So sorry for the long intro. It's just to let you guys know how passionate I am to letting you guys know that from this point on, this being the first to break ground, I want to just really embed myself here in the Philippines. So even if anyone's watching this and sees their interest in wanting to work with us in that way, whether it's me acting or directing, Those type of things are what I want to be involved with here passionately in the Philippines. And I've enjoyed this entire time at Palawan. I think it's an incredible island, and I can't wait to see more of the island. And yeah, so here we are about 1521. Now let's talk about 1521. This project, I believe, is going to be so revolutionary because of key facts. It is so historic that people don't know what happened in Magellan. Some people in America just think he just died. And a lot of times history of the Philippines gets pushed under the rug, and I've noticed that. And which has led to the passion of me wanting to embrace those stories and embrace my culture and say, hey, let me get this out there. So that is a historic thing in itself, the whole situation of Magellan and Lapu-Lapu. But even more historic, this is the first time Hollywood director and producer are producing a movie about a Filipino story with Hollywood stars and Filipino stars in one movie. So we have Danny Trejo, who is the Con Air, Machete, so many other big movies. You've seen him. You can follow him on Instagram. He has over 2 million followers as well. Bea Alonzo, over 10 million followers. Maricel Laksa. We also have my buddy Hector David Jr. He was also a Power Ranger, and he's playing the lead opposite Bea. And then my good buddy Costas Mandalore. He was in all the Saw movies, so he's coming in with the European audience. We try to spread it out with what we have built. We try to spread out the just connections to the world to make this as global as we can, but about the Filipino story. And that's what's so exciting. And we've, like he showed you guys pictures, we've got all the best people working on the boats. This will soon turn into Magellan's interior ship. We've got amazing swords and props, and yeah, we're just really excited to be here, and thank you guys for coming out. As I sweat. So one thing you want to know about me, I realize how a Filipino I am, because apparently I'm really American, because I require more AC, because I will drip sweat. And my interviews will look like I dip my face in water.
I'm Ivo from PALAWAN.com. Could you tell us the status of the film, the timeline? I think Sir Francis, you already mentioned that you're about to start this month, right? Yeah. So can you give us some information about it?
Our first day of shoot is August 1st. But we will, I would say maybe about 89% is ready. It's just all paperwork now that we're waiting for. But everything seems to be in place now. And the rest of the crew, we will have our assistant director coming from the US, who's a good friend of our director. And they're coming last week of July. So, as we go into the technicality, you're probably asking why Palawan?
Yes.
Right? Exactly. That's always the question of people about why Palawan. Well, first and foremost, this is my home. My wife and I have decided, we're originally from Iloilo, but we decided to settle here in Palawan. And, when I first came here, I fell in love with Palawan. It's nature, simple life, and yet you can do a lot of great things here. And a tremendous history, actually. I'm sure you guys know about all the Americans who were here before, before World War II and World War II. But the other thing is that Palawan is very strategic in terms of, I firmly believe that, we were surprised to actually do, pleasantly surprised, when we did casting, that there's quite a few Palaweños who are really incredible in talents. They just need opportunities. Yeah. And so that's what we're bringing here, They may not necessarily go to Manila, get audition, those things. So we're giving those opportunities. So that's very strategic for us. And third is, obviously the nature part of Palawan is just so beautiful. Like when I first brought him here, he saw the beaches and he saw the mountains. He has all these ideas of what an epic shot will be, just because simply of all what we have here. Yeah. And just the people of Palawan. I want the people of Palawan who are very friendly, very kind, who treated us to be like one of their own. I just want them to be, be proud of who they are. You know, it's sad to say that Palawan is one of the richest in terms of natural resources, but you know, our poverty level is very high compared to other provinces. And so I'm hoping that, you know, bringing projects here will change that. And so those are some of the reasons. Do you have other reasons for Palawan?
No, I think you said it perfect. I think what he said, I'll piggyback on the fact that I heard that this might have been like the first audition here. A lot of people say, I don't think there's ever been an audition in Palawan. And I said, really? They're like, no, this is the first. I'm like, wow, okay. Well, you know, just to let you guys know, historically, even in Hollywood in America, which is, you know, the top of the market for film, a lot of producers and directors, they try to find an area that's been untapped, you know, and we hit gold here, or should I say platinum, because, I mean, this is first of the first, you know, and that's what we wanted. You don't want to go to a place that's at. The problem is sometimes with when people that have been doing it for a while, they kind of lose that excitement. What I'm loving as a director right now is just the pure natural excitement that we're getting from people at the audition. It's so authentic, and that's the type of stuff that I want to see as we build this film industry, is the actual natural excitement to do something they've never done. And I think this is more than the perfect place to be. Love it here.
So can you tell us how long is the shoot going to take here, and could we announce the places in Palawan that you're going to do the shoot, if it's okay?
How long is the shoot?
How long is the shoot? So the shoot is a 20-day shoot. We are doing a 6-1 schedule, so we will have 1 day off per week. So we're trying to mix. The goal here was to kind of not. I've heard that some people do like complete, you know, 7-day shows. It's a different style here. I've heard people shoot movies in 3 days. I had some producers say, "Yeah, we just ADR'd the whole thing." And I go, "Wow, you shot the movie in 3 days." But what we're trying to do is kind of mix it up a little bit, do a little compromise between the two worlds, where in Hollywood it's always a 5-2. There's always 2 days off. But we're kind of compromising that situation where we're working 6 and 1 day off, just to give the creative juices a chance to, you know, rejuvenate itself and connect. And also, I believe, honestly, in every film I've done, those 2 days are very important to connect the crew. We work really hard, 12 hours a day. Creative thinking is actually a mental drain. I know when I'm speaking a lot, constantly all day, at the end of the day I'm so tired and ready to sleep. So I think that those 2 days give people, the crew and cast, a chance to gel with each other, which makes the project even better. So I do believe that historically what we've done in Hollywood, having the 2 days off, amplify the creativity. So at least having this 1 day, I believe we'll do that same thing, where we will amplify that creativity. So 20-day shoot, it looks like we're starting on the 1st and we will be ending on the 23rd. So if there's no hiccups, of course, or any type of shots that we might miss along the way, we still have the 24th and 25th to do that, because I don't actually leave until the 26th. But I'm also, outside of my schedule, I moved all the drone stuff to July 20th to the 31st, so I might be getting a lot of B-roll. Yeah, I'm advancing ahead so that there's more time to focus on the creative aspects of the scenes, like any type of dripping in the ships, or any type of waves crashing with a barangay. I'll go ahead and do that now. Mountainsides, close up on bugs running through the trees and stuff. So I encourage any filmmaker, I've done this with all my features, get all your B-roll and drone stuff actually out of the way first. Some people put it to the end. But I think this always inspired me as a director to kind of get those things started first. Because what you'll see is you'll actually find things in the B-roll and drone filming. They'll be like, oh, I'm going to do this on the day. And I don't know many directors that do that first, and most of the time they do it last. So I always encourage, if you are a filmmaker, do it first. So yeah, 20-day shoot.
Yeah. In terms of locations, we prefer not to reveal them right now for the security of our artists. As you know, Palawan is a very small place, and
Yes.
people tend to be family-oriented here, so what that means is the entire family will be there.
Very true.
Not only family, but whole barangay.
One cousin up to my hotel, and 30 of them came. So I was like, oh, hey, everyone.
but we can give you at least one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is the Spanish ruins in Taytay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
We will shoot
the
that.
kutas.
Yes.
the puta, Spanish word.
Yes.
Oh, yung
Puertas de Santa
Isabel.
Isabel.
So that's for sure.
I won't tell you the day, but
You have to stick out there for
Okay, let's go.
stay
Is that-
out
Tatay Tay?
The entire movie is gonna be shot here in Palawan?
Yes, the entire movie will be shot here. Unless our director decides he will do some scenes in the US, which
there might be some famous scenes actually because
CG.
no, our ship. There is a ship in San Diego we have access to, and the muskets to shoot blanks.
because it's hard to bring the muskets.
Yeah, it's hard to bring them here. So to tie in some of that, having shots of them filming, shooting off of the ship. There's a place in San Diego, actually, and in Williamsburg, Virginia, where we're from, as well as there might be one other scene because we're having a hard time finding our lead. Our lead is a Puerto Rican, so trying to find someone that looks like a young version of him here in the Philippines has been very hard. So maybe those flashback scenes probably will be as well shot in the States.
So we try to go as authentic as possible even with our props. So I actually have a 15th century musket that I purchased from France, and they sent it to the US. I'm just waiting for my cousin, who's a general with a PNP. He's doing the research if it's okay to bring it over. Maybe Sir Anthony can help us with that.
Come on, brother.
That was all, bro.
That was up, bro.
Yeah. But it is a real 15th century musket, but it doesn't fire, but there's something in there that could be tweaked to fire. We were hoping that we can bring it here, so we're still clearing that, but we have it. And if that doesn't happen, then maybe some shots will be done in San Diego.
Sir, what about the story? Is it about Magellan? Is it about the Battle of Mactan? Or we know kasi the Palawan is part of the Elcano Magellan fleet going back of the circumnavigation.
Yes.
Is that part of the movie as well?
It is in the sense that it takes place. There's a love story that takes place within the battle. So I'll say just like Magellan and Lapu-Lapu are the exterior of the body, and Dewada and Enrique are the heart and soul. So it's literally internally going on around this battle scene, around this battle era that's going on. So we didn't want to make a movie that was just about the battle and the war. We actually wanted to create a way to express our love for God and our love for spirituality and love. And those three things combined are the Messiah archetypes of the two main characters. So if you've seen Braveheart, William Wallace is like the Messiah archetype. He is like a Jesus Christ of that film, right? He's a savior archetype, and he embodies a Ares archetype, which is the god of war. So when he's in the battle moments, but in this film, we've taken the king and Ares archetypes and put them into the battle characters like Lapu-Lapu and Magellan and Lorenzo. And then we've taken the Messiah archetypes and actually combined them, like Adam and Eve, as one. So they're two different saviors from two different walks of life. One being Dewada of the Philippine Mactan village, who is more about the ka, the soul, the spirit of the land and the earth, and how we all connect as souls, and how love is the one thing that connects us. Then you have Enrique, who's actually a real character, who is Magellan's slave, that we've embodied a love for spirituality within him. So I don't want to give too much of the movie away, but understanding that he stands outside of the soldiers of the Spaniards, and that's why the two souls connect in a very Romeo Juliet, Pocahontas type of way. So the battle is going on. The history will be taught from what we believe the perspective is. Because we've been up and down about how old Lapu-Lapu is and this and that. But from what we've done research on online, seeing that Lapu-Lapu would have been in his 30s, young guy battling it up, and he was given the land because of some heroic things he did, and he was given the opportunity to be Datu at a young age because of some things he did in the past. But now we're hearing some things that he might be older. But I do say this, regardless of the facts of the matter, I hope that people just enjoy the artistic expression we're trying to produce here. So that way, it's just our interpretation of the story, which we believe is the best fit. And things have changed. Like there's a character that was supposed to be a male Spanish soldier that I now want to be a female Spanish soldier because we had a great casting. And that's the beauty of art. Art can be, I don't know if you guys are artists or painters, but I've been painting since I was 7. And every painting I've ever painted started with one thing in the canvas and ended up seven things later as the end result. So if you were to rip away every piece of that paint, you would find the original painting I started with that I got frustrated with and changed it. So I've been drawing and painting since I was 7. So I've never finished the painting that started with that idea. And that's why I love art, because it can evolve. And that's what this film is going to be. It's an evolved artistic expression.
So the historical part is just the Lapu-Lapu and the Magellan battle. That's the historical part. The rest, majority of the movie, really is on the love story. That's a creative, mindset and imagination of the writer, and also director Michael and I have put in our stuff in there and made the story very easy. But here's the most interesting thing with this. This is a small town guy's dream. This is our Rocky. If you're familiar with the story of Rocky, it started with a very small dream, and it became a huge undertaking. This is a story that people a year from now, when it goes out to the theaters, they will look back at, where is this coming from? Who are these guys? This is a small town's dream that became a reality. And that's what I want, for people to know, that, long before, Korea is still recovering from the ashes of World War II, and so is Japan. The Filipinos were already creating great movies. What happened? Why were we left behind? Right? Why are the Koreans now global? The Chinese are global, the Japanese are global, the Filipinos are still playing locally. Is it lack of talent? No. I firmly believe, with my interaction with a lot of producers in the Philippines, it's really just a different vision. We happen to dream bigger for our race, for the brown race. Yung lahing kayo manggi. And people are just comfortable, making money here in the Philippines. And no bigger vision for global impact. We're doing this movie and a whole lot more because of that dream. That one day, Filipino filmmakers or film filmmakers will be mainstream.
Yeah.
In America and around the world. And long term, we are like what Director Michael said. When Born Legacy was here,
Yes.
it's because it's great location and cheaper, right?
Yeah.
That's not our goal. Our goal is to build a long-term plan, build the studios here. In fact, the set that we've built, we're not gonna take it down. It will become studios. And Director Michael is a MISER certified trainer who he does courses on acting and courses on producing. So our long-term plan is to really have a studios base here in Palawan that will create, 2 to 3 movies at least a year. So that's why we're building people in Palawan. We're having people from Manila, from other places to train the Palaweños, because we really want to empower the Palaweños to become global. We're already global in our beaches and underground. We're not really global yet in our talents, and so we feel like this is our hub, this is our home. In fact, it's already considering the lot next door for sale, right? So, but kidding aside, I want the whole world to hear. It's a dream of a small town boy from Virginia and from Palawan to become a big player in the bigger states. And that will be our story come a year from now when we release it, internationally in theaters and eventually in online platforms in time for the 125th Independence Day.
And then the history of Rocky, to piggyback on that, is New York was coming out and had a $10 million budget. And Sylvester Stallone was told no a million times. And the only person that would take a chance on Sylvester Stallone was the financier of New York. So he went to the doctors who all put $1 million in and said, can we pull off 100,000 each from all of you to do this little, independent movie called Rocky? Well, New York barely made its money back. And Rocky made, to this day, still billions of dollars. So that's what he's saying, is that we believe that, because when we came together, originally this budget in our mind wanted to be, like typical Hollywood budgets, 10, 20, 30 million, 40 million, most, even 300 was an $80 million budget. But what we did say is, like, we know we can accomplish it with what we have now, with my skills and resources and his too. This guy's been through a lot of stuff with finance guys, screwing him over, leaving, stabbing in the back kind of thing. Myself too. I've been screwed over and stabbed in the back 1 million times. So when he's saying two small town guys, we both crawled from the ground up in our own respective right. And that's what he's saying too, in a more in-depth way, is that we've done a lot to get here that we're not saying right now, and we're reading through our subtext, but this was not easy for either of us. But the fact that we're here now, doing such an incredibly huge project for the minimal resources we can get up, but enough to make it extremely great, to be blessed with a Bea Alonzo and Danny Trejo and the beautiful sets of PALAWAN, an amazing team. Already I'm like, wow, I love Mai and Shobi and all these people that have come on board. We've got an incredible line producer, Monch, he's not here right now, and a production designer, No. They're an incredible team that are working so hard that I am just floored by, and I'm just so honored to work with them. And they deserve a million shout outs as well. And it's just, the thing is that this thing will be not just a typical project. This will be a really, hopefully passion-driven and passion-received project from not just us, from you guys as well. We hope you share the passion. The same passion that when we watch Braveheart and cry and get inspired again to conquer and freedom, and I know I watched that movie for that same reason. We hope that this film is that for you guys. And if it doesn't, please write us and we'll take criticism and we'll make the next one greater. And that's the good thing about us, is that we have no problem learning, and we want to keep learning. But we are right for this moment, and we're going to accomplish something, I think, that no one else has ever done. And I'll boldly say that with him. And we're excited to share this with you.
Sir Francis, speaking of long-term goals, you were mentioning a while ago several other films that you're planning to do. Are they part of these goals, or?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for sure. In fact, it all started with him playing the lead role in one of those movies before we even talked about 1521.
Yeah, did you tell him about the name of that movie?
Yeah, I said about the rescue.
The Rescue, yeah.
The Rescue, yeah.
And I met Oliver, and that's why last time we were location scouting, we actually went on the Scout Ranger camp and look at their locations and facilities. So yeah, it did start with that, and then that's where it led here. He's got big projects, but sometimes those big projects, they take longer to get funded.
Yes.
And that's why I was saying he's been through a lot when it comes to getting things in the right order. But that's typical. In Hollywood, there's been projects that have taken 15 years to get funded and made. And that's really happens all the time. So.
But that's what I want to give to anyone who reads your articles, anyone who hears the story. Where I came from? I came from a very small town in Iloilo, and I've never tried to become a filmmaker. And yet, I want people to understand that when they don't give up on their dreams, they're actually guaranteed success. Because all you have to do now is to keep growing towards that dream. And so, what excites me for this is, 1521 is just an appetizer. Because the more are coming and bigger. That includes the story in Plaza Cuartel. The writer of that movie is actually, an A-list writer who wrote Young Guns, Crouching Tiger, Forbidden Kingdom. So it's a huge writer who's writing that movie and, the other movies. But what excites me is, 1521 is like the lead horse of those five, so it's in the front, leading. It might be the smallest budget-wise, but it's really the one that's leading, paving the way, opening the door. And so nothing excites me and Michael than just the fact that, we are both dreamers. We have big ambitions. I'm not a first-time investor. I've built businesses in the U.S. and God has given me much success with that. But we are very confident of how this movie will come out. If you only see, if I can transfer to your mind in a disc, what he's doing right now and preparing everything, and what I'm doing right now, preparing. But it's something that, very, very exciting. And, people were asking, do you guys ever sleep? I said, who needs sleep when you're passionate about what you're doing, right? That's your sleep. So I just want to let people know out there that, when you have a dream, just don't give up on it. Pursue it. Because one day it's going to happen. And I really believe that, everyone has a destiny, a special destiny. And this movie is about to fulfill its own destiny come next year. And if I tell you the response that we get from, we sent the script out to some, producers in the US, in Hollywood, and it was just an overwhelming response. The writer is not even an A-list writer, the way the other writers were writing, but it's a combination of Michael putting his thoughts, me putting my thoughts, and the writer putting her thoughts, and the response was just overwhelming. In fact, even until now, we have, a few companies that's talking to us about, hey, we want to distribute this. There are still investors who wants to come in. And I said, no, it's closed. We're done. We're ready to go. And so what excites me with that is this is just the beginning.
And even one of the top Filipino celebrity actors loved the script. It just unfortunately couldn't make it work on this project. But it's just good to know that the only things that's stopping us is not the talent. It's just making sure this makes huge profits so we can keep the ball revolving and going. Because you can wait. Like I said, if I would have waited for some of the fun worth the price, probably wouldn't have made it until 5 years later. But making it for $10,000, I made it, and it was done in a year. So that's the thing. And he's right. This thing has been received really well from everyone, and it's been worked over and over. I know myself. There's been 7 passes on this thing, just even down to the last one, just rewriting the last speech to make sure it hits. And I will say, the last time I read the script full, I cried myself, as if I didn't even have any involvement in the script. My wife and I read it, and we were both crying when you'll see. It's an amazing, moving movie, and we're just really excited about it.
You'll fall in love because Bea and Hector will do a great job. If I share with you some of the words, you'll already fall in love just hearing the words, But then again, you come out not only falling in love, you come out very proud that you are Filipino.
Yeah.
Because the world doesn't know that side of the Filipinos yet. How brave we are, how world class we are as heroes. Most of the people think that Magellan discovered the Philippines in 1521. That's not true. The Philippines has been a flourishing, the brown race, the Kayumangi race has been a flourishing culture, when the Spaniards came here. And we want to showcase that to the world. Yeah. Not the idea we were savages hanging on the trees when Magellan came. Right? Kaya nga, pag tinignan nyo yung I showed you yung balangay na ginawa natin, mayroong alibata. You know, and the world will know what Alibaba is after this movie.
Yeah.
You know, they will know what a single is after this movie.
Yeah.
You know, and so we just showcase the the great tradition and race that we have, and you will fall in love. Talaga. You fall in love not only because of husband and wife, but you'll fall in love. You'll be so proud that you're Filipino. We are already so proud.
Yeah.
Not only because we're making the movie, but we can already see the response. I mean, like all these Hollywood stars that he's talking to.
Yeah.
Like they read the script.
Yeah.
We want to do it. Like that's the response. I want to do it.
But yeah. It's like, wow.
Yeah. So like we're not paying them big bucks.
So anyone who wants to give us $20 million, we can have more names. But I will say this: I want to touch on the language, and it was a big decision of ours. I want to make sure people know ahead of time.
Yeah.
I've been getting comments since this posting that are you going to put it in Visayan language because it was Visayan of that time. We actually decided to go full English and American with this because just like the movie Gladiator, that was actually in 180. That was supposed to be Latin and Spanish at that time. Pocahontas was not supposed to be English, and neither was Mulan. And so many countless movies. Schindler's List was supposed to be in Yiddish and German, not English. But last year the Americans grossed $520 billion, not million. And the second best Hollywood gross was UK at $50 billion. Philippines is actually down at the 77 at 127 million, right? So it took 77 other countries to even add up to 300 billion. So a big thing that what we wanted to make a stand is that we are Hollywood director producers. So we wanted to cater to Hollywood first, but about a Filipino story. So when people watch this, I want that expectation to know that this was a very tough decision. And it wasn't a decision because we want to ignore the race and the language of the Philippines. But it was a thing that we are what we are first, and we're a Hollywood quality production about a Filipino story. So that's why we chose to do the movie in English. So you will see moments of different things, but just know that that's the expectation, and that's why we chose that expectation. Because countless people around the world are used to the American Hollywood language that can be translated. But that's why we chose to do that. And coming from me, it was a very, very hard choice for us, but a very, I think, solid choice. And we're moving forward strong in that choice. And I think you guys will love it.
Yeah, we want it to be global. It's not just for the Filipino audience. We want it to be global. And I'm on the advisory board of the Asian Film Festival in Los Angeles, and you can win a lot of awards with original languages. However, the sustainability of the project is a little bit tough because a lot of Americans don't want to read subtitles. They don't want to go. So if we want non-Filipinos to watch this movie, we try to remove as much as possible the challenges that they will have. Because if they're thinking, well, it's in the Filipino language, I'm gonna watch it for 2 hours and I'm gonna just read the subtitle.
Actually, 82% globally, they did a poll. 82% would rather have it dubbed in English than watch the subtitles. So instead of us doing that percentage spoke really big volumes to us, to the fact that another reason why we don't want to turn off any people globally. So, but we're excited about it.
But there will be key moments there that they will hear Tagalog. That's for sure. And there will be key moments there that they will hear some Spanish. The majority will be in English. In fact, if we wanted to be true to the authenticity, it would not be Tagalog.
It would be
decided.
which is still
from there, right?
Which is still a thought we still I think should think about before production. But that's something that we're still on the fence right there. But all these things go into filmmaking, guys, and that's why just know that you got people who are working hard. There's some challenges here, being on an island, doing things. We working through these challenges and stuff. But we got two guys that are leading a group of people that are working day in, day out so hard for us, and a ton of volunteers that just giving up their time. And again, big shout out to them, the fact that we're working through these things, everything that we're working through right now to make this the best project. So there's not as there's not a piece of this script or movie that we haven't thought of. And that's what I love, is that everyone's thinking about everything, even offset, on production, on the actual movie. Everything is fine-tuned. So this is not a lazy production. This is a very hardworking and very thought-out production. You know, I'm very proud to be a part of that, you know, in this part.
Sir, yeah, because this is the very first time here in Puerto Princesa in particular. But the question is, are you doing some help in the local economy? Are you employing some people here? Or are you featuring some products or artists here for this movie?
We have already employed a lot of carpenters to build the PALAWAN, to build the movie set. We've already started feeding the families here.
It is a mix. We have our
You hotel is already making money for staying there.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, we got an American AD and American DP and second camera operator, and then some people from Manila on the Filipino crew, or LP and production designer.
We have hired local talents.
Yeah, and then also we're working with local people in Palawan as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I'm kind of wanting to mix it up a little bit.
But the biggest contribution of this movie in Palawan is the museum that will come out. Because the set will become a studio museum. That's the biggest contribution of this movie. Once we're done, you guys will be seeing. So in addition to Baker's Hill and
Plaza Hotel.
somewhere in this area, you will find a museum that's before the Spanish time. So lahat ng ito, all these things, the clothes that Lapu-Lapu will be wearing, I just received the picture of the clothes that Diwata, that Bea will be wearing, they will all be in the museum. And so future generations will come here and will actually appreciate, the Kayumangi race. So that's the biggest contribution. We told the mayor about our plans. That's the plan.
Yeah, we did meet with the mayor.
And that's why it excites him that we are adding an additional attraction. Because we all complain about people flying in here, just go to El Nido right away. They don't stay in Puerto Princesa. Now we're giving them another reason. Imagine 1521 becomes a blockbuster. Everyone will go to that set.
Yeah.
Where did they do that? Right? And they know that it's important.
Yeah, I was telling them in Atlanta, Georgia right now, there's a tour company that makes $2 million a year just taking people to the sets of Walking Dead and Stranger Things. Because Atlanta right now is the Hollywood film hub.
Yeah.
Even after COVID, they bounced back within 6 months, over $6 billion poured into that economy, the film funds. So the economic impact that happens with film is tremendous. I don't think people actually look into it as much. I've had to educate my local hometown, Virginia, because it's a very military-based town. But as these things grow and other producers hear about what we're doing, just imagine $6 billion poured into this island in a 4 or 5 month time, going into these hotels, going into these restaurants, going to these people. What it would do for the economy and what it would do for the people. That excites me more than anything. Is I love the ability of what this business can do. As I walk around and see things, and I'm like, man, this could be completely flipped over and changed from an industry that is so fun and so creative and so inspiring. And I love that I'm a part of that movement, and that's why I'm dedicating the rest of my time right here. I am directing, producing movies as well in the States, but I'm trying my best now to move everything to to here, to the Philippines, and what we're doing here, because I'm seeing already what the economic impact it would do here, and that excites me more than anything, really.
Okay. So, sir, Playdate and distributor. Do we have distributor already? And of course, the online platform. Could we announce that?
Those are still under negotiation,
Yes,
so
yes.
it's too early to announce them.
Playdate is
The play date,
target Playdate.
that would be June next year.
June for Independence Day.
Yeah, Independence Day. So what might happen is we will have a premiere in Manila first, and then premiere in the US like a few days later. because normally it comes out in Asia before the US. And so, yeah, so that's June next year. I'm sure we should be done earlier than that, but we would like it to be. Most of Filipinos don't know that, we know about the American Declaration of Independence, that document that they signed, right, when they fought the British. And the Filipinos actually have a similar document. It's also our Declaration of Independence, and it's Spanish, but if you look at the story in the middle, that's the story of Lapu-Lapu and Magellan. So central to our struggle as a people for freedom and liberty is Lapu-Lapu and Magellan's story. And so that's why it just has to be that same time, 125th anniversary of the founding of our nation. So you couldn't do a better, more perfect timing of that. So who knows? We might have a premiere in Palawan.
Please.
And if for whatever reason we're not done, we'll play the movie and I'll be editing at the same time with my crew until the last part, and then we'll push it out. No, it'll be done by then.
Now we do intend to submit this to International Film Festival for competition.
I was about to ask that.
Yes. So Cannes is in May.
Cannes is the target.
So we have a mutual friend who's the executive director of Asian Film Festival. He's guiding us each step of the way. Because originally I told him I wanted it to be in the Metro Manila Film Festival this December, right? but then our mutual friend said this. He said, "You don't want to do that if you want to compete in Cannes." Right? So I said, okay, that might make us some money, but we want it to be a bigger, entrance, and so we want to compete there. So
plus it'll be more time in post, anyways, realistically.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're real excited. This is also speaking on Danny Trejo's behalf. I think it's two big things I'm excited about: Bea Alonzo and Danny Trejo. So this is going to be Bea Alonzo's. In my opinion, I haven't seen anything, maybe you guys can educate, but this is our first Hollywood film. And I hope that her fans embrace this as like Bea Alonzo and Marisol Laxa's first Hollywood film, right? And then Danny Trejo has been just a incredibly supporting Spanish actor. I mean, you've seen him, if you Google his name, you'll see him. He's the guy in Con Air, and he's in this, he's Machete, he's been in so many things, but he's never had that lead epic role, and that's why I'm so excited for Danny Trejo. And those two people going into Cannes right now have built their career the way they built it. I think it's exciting that this project is we're a part of that journey with them, because I do believe Danny Trejo definitely deserves this opportunity. He's never had this opportunity for him.
This movie, I was thinking about it, this movie could actually be a really, really good full circle of the relationship of Philippines and Spain.
Yeah.
Because Danny Trejo is an iconic Latino-American actor. So that means with him on the movie, this will get a lot of audience in the Spanish-speaking world. And so, this could actually be a pretty good, come back to the relationship with Spain and the Philippines. So I just thought about that. So we don't, not only because of the big Filipino stars we not only, got the Filipino market, but even the Latino market. That's the genius of this, because we literally, have an iconic Latino actor.
And teaching people I'm Filipino, not Latino. So I do thank everyone in advance for the fact that I will be playing Lapu-Lapu in this. In my acting career, every role I've gotten was originally a Caucasian role. Even bringing on Power Rangers, they were looking for a white James Dean, and I got the role. They just changed the name, but they always changed it to Spanish. I even fought to be Filipino in all my opportunities, and never did allow it. Actually, a few producers said no one knows what a Filipino is, and that bothered me. So I will say this: I thank in advance that this opportunity for me to play a Filipino. I've never been Filipino enough for roles, and I've never been white enough for roles. I'm half white and half Filipino. But an iconic character like this, to be half, it actually fits the mold because he was different. So him looking a bit different is going to work. So I do thank you guys in advance for the support in that with me, because this is exciting for me to be in a role about Lapu-Lapu and embracing my Filipino heritage too.
Yeah, so there is in our history, there's the old Lapu-Lapu, there's the young Lapu-Lapu. We're taking the young Lapu-Lapu position.
Yeah.
It's debatable whether he's old or young.
Yeah.
So we're taking the young Lapu-Lapu, and so you have a 6'2"
Yeah.
Lapu-Lapu, you know, who's half puti. Really, is there a pure Filipino? We really don't have a pure Filipino because many of us are mixed.
Yes.
Indian, Chinese,
Spanish.
some are Spanish, and so we.
Yeah, but this was our working photo of Lapu-Lapu.
Would be the Lapu-Lapu.
Yeah, and that's me with the wig and kind of just like
The modern Lapu-Lapu.
yeah. More modernized, yeah, like
Yeah, so huwag nyo lang i-publish yung picture ni Lapu-Lapu. It's for your own consumption.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wag lang
bring that down.
wag lang magkarga dito.
The audience. So very exciting. Real swords.
Yes.
Of course, during the fight, we won't be using the real swords, but we have made real swords. This is a real. Sige nga, Lapu-Lapu, would you show them what you would look like with your kampila? Right? That's 30 inches long. See? That was specifically made for him. So 30 inches long. So look at that. That's the sword of Lapu-Lapu. So that's really is. Can you imagine that? Imagine him wearing bahag.
Yes.
Only.
Oh, yeah.
Only, and with long hair and all the tattoo.
Yeah.
Imagine that. That's the Lapu-Lapu.
Yan na yata sir papatay kay Cardo Darisay.
Yes. That's a custom made all the way from Cordillera. So that's the real one. This is the real one. So it can really kill someone. So that's imagine. Yeah, so that's very, very exciting stuff for us, and so everything is coming together. You guys are really the best spot to talk about it. In fact, one of celebrity blogger told me, I hope I'll be the first one to interview you guys. Sorry na lang. The person actually asked permission to come over, and I said, you're welcome to come. And then the person, I won't even say she or he kasi malalaman mo. So the person said, I hope I will be the first one. I said, I also hope, but you guys came in first. So anyway, but so we're very grateful. Whatever you can do to help push this out, to the people, create, because this is a movement that we're creating, a movement of Filipinos pushing our stories of honor, heroism, and hope to become mainstream globally. And so whatever you guys can do to help push that out, that will, each one is a link. Ika nga ay bayanihan. Yung bayanihan natin, which is, by the way, cannot be found anywhere else in the world. Yung Filipino coming together. Because our heart na mag-unite yung mga Pilipino. If we cannot be united politically, at least in the movies, right? With this mission, we can be together, going out there and become great. So, maraming salamat sa inyong pagpunta. At maraming salamat for giving us this opportunity. This will not be the last one. Yeah. When all our stars are here, we will throw a bigger press conference. So pag nandito na si Danny, si Bea, and everyone, we'll throw that out. But he has to work it out in the schedule.
All right.
That's our, when Maricel comes, if Anthony allows her to come.
So do you have plans to visit?
Maricel is playing, actually. She has a role, and it is a pretty significant role, actually. So Danny Trejo is Magellan, Michael is Lapu-Lapu, Bea is Dewata, and then Maricel, actually in our IMDb is Amani. She's actually the older, kind of like mentor of Dewata in the movie. Like older sister type, parang ate-ate natin. And then Hector will be the love interest of Bea.
And Costas Mandalore is the main soldier,
main villain.
main villain soldier of Magellan.
Yeah, and it is
It
very.
becomes more of the antagonist because we went back and forth. We wanted to protect Magellan a little too, to where he wasn't the full antagonist in our story. So we created that. Lorenzo's being that for us.
Yeah, so yun. So yeah, and we have more possible Hollywood actors that actually technically agreed already, but we cannot announce because hindi pa po yung pirma ng agreement, but has accepted already the offer. So this is actually a pretty star-studded cast. Not your typical production from the Philippines. And we're just so blessed that we have all these people believing in our mission, believing in our vision for this film. And that's what we need. People who really truly believe. And so that's why our team is here. Our production team, they all believe in the mission and the vision. So we need like-minded people who will join us with this crusade and make this a really huge. Because when Mel Gibson created The Passion of the Christ, the success of that came not from traditional advertisement. It came from a lot of people who believe in the vision and the mission of the film. These are the churches in America and all over the world. That's why it became a global blockbuster. And that could happen too if Latinos and Filipinos come together and push this out as heritage of us.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.